Daugherty is not picking up his phone. All right, if you wanted to hear Stanley Cup conversation, I will provide it here myself, because I will tell you I've picked the Bruins to win the Cup. Well, you know, it might be a bit much. It goes 7. The longer it goes, I think the longer it helps out the Blues, in my opinion. They're not quite as banged up, etc., etc. But also maybe that doesn't remark what the Jordan Bennington effect is. But let's face it, Tuukka Rask has been even superior to Bennington. And although I mentioned in my opening monologue that, Chris Wagner being out isn't going to help the Bruins out any. He leads the team in hits. St. Louis win it and forgive me if I'm going to sound total, have. Think about that. They just start wondering, look, how much longer can, Jaden Schwartz do this? Scores 11 goals in the regular season. He's already got 12, even strength no less, for St. Louis. Just kind of seems to me to be another ball. Here's one thing. I mean, it's like a Mark Twain novel. You go back in time. What year is this? Well, it's 2019. Let's pick Boston to win. I mean, that's the way it's been in this century, hasn't it? My goodness. Jinxes. They're all football. So, there you go. I mean, but, we'll be to Boston in order to win more. I mean, it's gotten to that point. My goodness. So how in the world can you pick against them? Braves. One of a few teams involved in a Department of Justice investigation of Major League Baseball activities in Latin America related to international signings, including players from Cuba. One focus of the investigation is in covering buscones, or other third parties, who force international signees to remit, forfeit, or otherwise send a large portion of their baseball earnings in exchange to services rendering off the island nation. Interesting. I know this. I worked in independent minor league baseball, and it is a big decision because Cuban baseball players historically are paid slave wages. I mean, minor league. Think about this. I mean, we hear about the Cuban star wants to defect so he can make millions. Most ball players aren't doing that when they go from Cuba. They're going for a minor. And they'll never see their family again. Now, you think about that. A minor league salary is about, $1,000 a month. Think about that. That's what they're coming to. But he is a third party, and a lot of times what will happen is that a Cuban traveling team, let's say they play in Mexico, then the player will defect. He'll run away. It's easier to get it from Mexico into the United States than it is certainly from Cuba to the United States. So, there you have it right there. I think that Alex Daugherty might be giving me a call here. Is this you, Alex Daugherty of OnTheForecheck.com? Or not On The Forecheck, A to Z Sports Nashville. I'm sorry, I'm living in the past. Forgive me.
Yeah, that's all right.
Forgive me here. Hey, I've only got 5 minutes here and all this, so I guess, let me ask you here, Alex, and who do you think's going to win the Cup? St. Louis or Boston? Let's get right to it.
I think Boston's got an edge. I think Boston has probably the more complete lineup. I think they're playing maybe a little bit better offensively. St. Louis has a really solid defense, and they've got a really great hot goaltender. I just think Boston has maybe a little bit more along the back end, and perhaps a little bit better depth scoring-wise. But I think it's going to be a pretty good series. I think it'll probably go 6 or 7 games.
Okay, I picked the Bruins in 5 because, like you, I like the Bruins, but I don't like their chances of, I guess, winning on St. Louis ice. I mean, you can't deny Gloria now, can you? And the other thing is, I do maybe that's more of a benefit with St. But also just the team more likely to skate than the second most penalized team in the NHL this year, in my opinion. That's kind of the way that I see it. I don't know. I mean, could you see that the longer the Blues stay in this thing, the longer... certainly. I mean, it's a better chance to win and all that, but do you see where a longer series might benefit the Blues, in your opinion, or do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with that. The longer series could benefit the Blues, but I really think that the Bruins have... when I think about the Bruins, I think about their speed. They've got a really solid top line. They've got great speed throughout. Sean Corrali, guys like Charlie McAvoy, Bobby Orr, who...
Now that's a little high praise right there. I mean, another Bobby Orr. You're talking about one of the 5 greatest players of all time. But yeah, please go ahead. Yes.
I mean, yeah. I'm just telling you what other people have been saying is that Charlie McAvoy reminds people of a young Bobby Orr, who, by the way, was the guy that scored the game-winning, cup-winning goal against the Blues last time the Blues were in the Stanley Cup final.
Well, yes. And a matter of fact, I think that might be hockey's most famous goal. Unless you want to talk, I don't know, Olympic hockey and Sidney Crosby in 2010, winning the cup for Canada in overtime or so. I think the flying goal of Bobby Orr, most famous goal in certainly NHL history, my opinion right there. Anyway, and it happened between these two teams 49 years ago. What is your take on Chris Wagner missing this series? See, that's an opportunity, I think, for the Blues. I look at the Bruins being more hard-checking. He led the team in hits. I think this is an advantage that the Blues might be able to take advantage of. I just don't know if they have the scorers that can. What is your opinion of the absence of Wagner? Is it big or is it not so big?
No, I don't think it's very big at all. I think if anything, the Bruins might be a little bit better without him in the lineup. I mean, he's a pretty physical guy, but when it comes, he's just not quite there. I mean, he's a third-line player. I think the bigger issue will be possibly, Zdeno Chara has an injury.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly would be fine for the series. But him being so old, is that a possibility for the Blues? If Chara goes down and all of a sudden the Bruins are having to redistribute their defensive pairings, that could be an opening for the Blues. So I could see that possibly. But I really just think that the Bruins are the better team. The Blues are a great story, and they've got certainly a really great story. But I do think that they possibly might run out of magic here in the Cup final. Not too dissimilar from when the Predators ran out of it 2 years ago.
I only have a time for a yes or no answer here, but in Nashville, are they rooting against the Blues because it's the arch rival?
I think they are. I think so.
Nashville rooting for Boston. I would have thought those two cultures, barbecue versus clam chowder. I mean, come on here. How could that be? Well, now I guess clam chowder. It's what they do in Manhattan. Yeah, yes.